there, class. We are going to start back up with section 10.4, which is on inscribed angles. Remember, we've talked about inscribed in a previous section in chapter 10. Inscribed means it's inside the circle. And so we're going to find the measures of inscribed angles, and when we've learned about those, then we're going to find about angles of inscribed polygons. So let's first talk about what is an inscribed angle. Inscribed angles are angles with a vertex on the circle and sides that contain chords of a circle. So big words here to remember is it's on the circle. See how our vertex R is on the edge of the circle. So we could say that we have angle QRS, and that's our inscribed angle. We also have an intercepted arc, and that's an arc with endpoints on the side of the inscribed angle, and it lies on the interior of the inscribed angle. So that's talking about here now. So our intercepted arc is QS. All right, just remember what we've previously learned. We've learned about central angles before. And central angles look something like this and have a degree measure of x. And then their arc has their same degree measure. So this is a central angle. And remember that the vertex is at the center. So remember we talked about just a second ago, inscribed angles, their vertex is on the circle. And then lastly, the angle and the arc have same measure. All right, so let's talk about how it is different when we talk about an inscribed angle. If the angle is inscribed in a circle, then the measure of the angle equals 1/2 the measure of its intercepted arc. So what that's saying here is the measure of our angle, 1, is equal to 1/2 of the measure of AB. All right, so just think the angle is 1/2 of the arc will be twice as much as the angle. So in our first couple of problems, it says find the measure of angle P. So we're finding the measure of the angle, and that's 1/2 the measure of the arc. So we're just going to take 70 and divide by 2, and the angle is 35 degrees. Now we're going to find the measure of PQ, and PQ is the one that's way out here. That's twice the size of the angle. So we're going to take the angle of 56 and times by 2. And we get 112 degrees for that arc. Try 3 and 4 on your own. Find angle C and measure of arc CF. Very similar to what we just did. All right. Our theorem 10.7 for the chapter, it says if two inscribed angles of a circle intercept the same arc or congruent arcs, then the angles are congruent. So let's say we have two inscribed angles here. So there's our first inscribed angle, and then here's our second inscribed angle. So totally different angles, but notice that they both have the same endpoints. So A, B, C, and D. And it says that if two inscribed angles intercept the same arc or congruent arcs, then the angles are congruent. So angle B and angle C are congruent. So we can say that angle B and angle C both intercept AD, that's the arc. So angle B is congruent to angle C. So find measure of angle T. So angle T, well, we notice that angle T and angle U both have the same endpoints, and so therefore we can set these two pieces congruent. Now what this is going to find us is actually going to find us the measure for X, and that's going to help us find for angle T. So X ended up equaling 20. That's not our answer. We have to plug it back in to find for angle T. Angle T is going to be equal to 3 times the 20 minus 5. So that's going to give us a measure of 55, and we're talking about angle, degrees. Number 6 uses the same exact circle, except for this time we're going to be talking about angle S and angle V. Notice again, they have the same endpoints. So your ending that you should do is find angle S. All right. Inscribed angle of a triangle intercepts the diameter or a semicircle if and only if the angle is a right angle. So see here that our inscribed angle, intercepts the diameter. So it makes this a semicircle. So this angle is a right angle. So if arc FG or FJH is a semicircle, then angle G, now think about this, what I'm going to write next. Remember that the angle, the inscribed angle, is half of the arc. Well, here is our arc. It's a semicircle. So what's the measure of the arc? 180 degrees. And remember, inscribed angles is half of that. So half of that is going to tell us that angle G is 90 degrees. That's how we know it's a right triangle. I mean a right angle, excuse me. All right, so find the measure of angle F. Well, we need to find out what x is first. Again, we see that the endpoints for our inscribed angle is at the diameter, so this is a right angle. So we have a right triangle. The measures of a right triangle all add up to 180 degrees, so we can use that to find us what angle or what x is going to equal. So I'm just adding all three angles and setting it equal to 180 degrees. If we go ahead and simplify that, we get 13x plus 89 equals 180. So minus the 89, divide by 13. What do you guys get x to equal? Good, x is 7. But remember, that's not answering the question. We want to know the measure of angle F. So angle F, it says right here, is 4 times x, which we found is 7, plus 2. So our angle F ends up being 4 times 7, 28, plus 2, so we get 30 degrees. Always make sure that you're answering the question, not just finding what x equals. All right, last topic for the day. If a quadrilateral is inscribed in a circle, then its opposite angles are supplementary. All right, so that means that angle K and M are going to equal 180 degrees. And angle L and N is going to equal 180 degrees. Okay, so we have two last problems. Number 10 says find the measure of angle A and the measure of angle B. Well, angle A is going to be supplementary to angle C. And right here we see that little box, and so that's telling us that angle C is 90 degrees. Well, so that means that angle A is also 90 degrees. All right, so then we know that our angle B and angle C are going to be supplementary. So that means they're going to add together to give us 180 degrees. So if we simplify, 3x minus 30 equals our 180. Go ahead and add that 30 over. So we get 3x equals 210. And x ended up equaling 70. Again, that's not quite what our problem asked us for. Our problem asked us for angle B. Angle B, we see right up here, angle B is equal to 2 times x minus 30. Don't know why I keep wanting to write plus. Minus 30. So if we go ahead and do that, we end up with 2 times 70 gives us 140, minus 30 gives us 110 degrees, which is great because angle D would be x, which is 70. They're supplementary. All right, go ahead and try and finish out problem 11 on your own and bring that back for tomorrow. Thanks, guys.